Good afternoon, everybody. This is Deliverance Church Kahasukari Ladies Ministry Fellowship. You're welcome. You're welcome for our fellowship this afternoon. Today, we bring to you a discussion on the effects of the stay-at-home guidelines for the prevention of COVID-19 pandemic. And we want to see the effects of this guideline and, of course, having to stay at home on the family and especially on the ladies in the family. We trust that you'll be ministered to. Karibu sana. To help us bring the discussion, I have 3 ladies from Deliverance Church, Kahasukari, and members of this fellowship. My farthest right is Susan. Susan Jagi is a teacher by profession. And next to her is Professor Lilian Wahome, and Professor is a counseling psychologist. Thank you for coming. And we have Phyllis Gitubi is a financial advisor. So thank you for gracing this discussion. To start, we are going to start with a prayer, and I will kindly request Susan to pray for us.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you this afternoon. Thank you for your grace upon our lives. Thank you for this moment that you have provided, that we may deliberate and discuss issues that are affecting us as women. And Lord, we pray as we discuss that you're going to guide us, you're going to lead us. We pray that each one of us is going to get to know where they are and what they ought to do, even in this situation. May you, Lord, lead us, and may the Holy Spirit speak to us. And it is in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Now, coronavirus is no longer a strange term. It is a term we've been mentioning, and we are now living with effects of having it around. And we want to ask ourselves, how has the stay-at-home aspect of the policies that we have been given by the government, how is it affecting us? How has it affected the family? How is it affecting the lady in the family? And we are talking about the lady because this is a ladies' fellowship, but generally we will be talking about the family as well. And I want to ask, and this is a question any one of us can answer, what are some of the general effects that we have seen of the stay-at-home aspect of these guidelines that we are dealing with? Maybe you can start us, Phyllis. Generally, what have you, maybe how has it affected you in the past?
Okay, these are very unprecedented times, especially because what we are seeing currently in the homes used to happen probably on a Sunday afternoon when we'll find everybody in the house.
Yes.
Now we are having a situation where we are having everybody in the house 24/7. And therefore, there are many things that can happen. Some are positive, some could be negative. But one of the effects we are seeing, and one of the ways that we are seeing this impacting us, is relational. How are people relating? How am I relating with my husband, my children, when we are together 24/7?
Yeah.
So that is relational. We are also having effects maybe on the spiritual aspect. How is it that the family now will be fed spiritually apart from how we were being fed in church and all that? So maybe I can just mention those two. Yeah, the effect on relations and the effect on the spiritual aspect, the nourishment aspect that we also have to take into account.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, for some people, there is this element of awkwardness, a feeling that things are not normal. And so you find that in some families, there is this feeling of uncertainty, and it makes people feel awkward. So there is that element of not knowing exactly how long will it go. Secondly, it's also a time when people are feeling like, what do I do with the time on my hands? So there is that element of anxiety, kind of, what do I do with the time I have? So it is a time when one has to really rethink their day from morning to evening as a family.
Yes. So an aspect of time management and
Right.
feeling of awkwardness,
Right.
relational and spirituality. Susan, I don't know whether there's another aspect you want to.
We could say that there has been, maybe now we are getting to learn how to deal with it. But we had that feeling of not knowing what am I going to do tomorrow. I don't seem to know. It's like your life is being controlled externally. What is going to happen tomorrow? So actually, like Professor is saying, the uncertainty makes you not have any plan for yourself.
Yeah.
So that is also, I think, an issue that has affected us as families.
So uncertainty. And I don't know what you would say, Professor Lydian. How has this aspect specifically affected the woman? The woman is really a person that cannot be ignored in the society. And I want us, as we talk about the lady, let's think about the lady who is a mother, the lady who is single, the lady who is married, the lady who is staying alone. How would you say that the stay-at-home aspect is affecting the woman?
You see, for a woman, the home is a natural place. They're actually at home in the house because a woman is a nurturant. We nurture the family, and therefore being at home for some women is not a strange thing. However, in this COVID season, there is so much expectation on the woman because she is the center of things. She is the one who is looked up to by the husband, if she has a husband, by the children, and anybody else in that home. So there is that element of this woman feeling there is a lot of expectation. Expectation from the children, expectations from the husband, expectations from myself. And a woman, because we are naturals, we are also the ones who service. We service the family. There is a self-expectation. So these are things that will affect this woman in the home, that there is so much expected of me and I need to reach everybody.
Phyllis, you are a woman. Do you feel this expectation on you? Could you give examples how maybe that expectation is coming out in your own life?
Okay, you know, we have been used to a normal way of doing things. Yeah? We wake up in the morning, you have set the systems that breakfast will be ready, people will take breakfast, people will go to work, people will go to school. Then you will wait for evening again for systems, and while you are away, things will be happening. But now, for instance, like for me now, I don't have a house help in the house. So the expectation is that the house will continue running, and sometimes it looks like it should run on autopilot, and yet somebody must do something. I must make sure that breakfast has been done, the utensils have been done. I must set the tempo in the house so that things are running and everybody is feeling part of the home, and it doesn't look like now it's bad outside there, even at home it's bad. So you have to create that atmosphere in the house that people feel it is home, irrespective of what is happening out there.
So it's real. It's real that there is expectation because, like you're saying, like somebody was saying, I have to cook breakfast, lunch. You know, maybe on a normal working day, no lunch is being cooked. Now there's lunch and maybe a snack in between. And Susan, how is this expectation when you think about the fact that there are children at home and school-going children at home?
You see, this means when you are all there, you need to make sure that everyone is doing what they are supposed to do. Like you find most of the, like in the town setting, most of the school-going children have assignments. They have online work that they need to do, and maybe even send it back to their teachers. So you can imagine this is something new. This is not something we are used to doing, especially when you are expected to communicate back what is your child doing. So as a mother, among the many other things that you are doing, you must also make sure your children are doing what they are supposed to do. It is very strange that children don't feel at school when they are at home. And therefore, it is your duty to make sure they will just do the work somehow. It has not been easy because they will also look at you like, Mom, we are at home. and you are expecting them to do that work and finish it on time.
Yeah.
So I think as a mother and as a lady, it is a challenge. It is a challenge. You have to make sure the assignments are done. You have to make sure that the children are in the right mood. They look at it from the right perspective. They have the right attitude for them to be able to do the work. And you also have to make sure every other thing else goes on. So really, I would say that this pandemic is quite a challenge for mothers. It is, I would say, it has given us more roles to play out of what we are used to. And we are expected to do them. Yes, we are expected to do them and do them perfectly well. And sometimes it is not so, because we are also now trying to cope with the new situation.
Yeah. And I'm also imagining for the working mother that there is still some work to be done. Even if maybe they are not going to work, there may be some work that is being sent online, some online meetings that they are attending. So they have to balance up all this. Professor Lillian, how is this affecting the woman psychologically?
You see, like she said, the woman, even the one who is not a teacher, is being a teacher. And making sure that homework is done, like Susan says, and making sure, like she said, everything is in order, is running. So psychologically, some women, maybe not all, are overwhelmed. Because they want to be able to reach and affect everybody positively.
Yes.
The other one is anxiety. Some of them may be feeling anxious. Are we okay? Is the family going to make it? Other women may even feel worried about the future. Shall we make it? She will talk more about the economic, but will we continue? How long will it be before we can now say we are okay? So there will be that anxiety, there may be stress, there may be a feeling even of neglect. The woman may feel neglected or alone because she is being looked up to by everybody else. And maybe they are not thinking, like she said, we are also going through the pandemic. And maybe some families, they are feeling like mom is okay. Mom should be able to cope with all this. But we are also going through it. For the working woman, it is true. Balancing up the services for the family to run, but also there is a call, or there is a video Zoom meeting, or there is some assignment I need to complete. Getting that freedom to go and do it. And in some families, there is no private place. It is to tell the family, please, for the next 1 hour, please don't disturb. Maybe put a desk at a corner. And it's very stressful. It can be very stressful.
Yeah, we'll be coming back to you to tell us how we should manage this. But Phyllis, we are at home. And like you said, 3 meals in a day. And I can imagine sometimes like going to the market is maybe having to be different and all that. How is this affecting the family finances?
The family finances are actually getting affected. And family finances composed of various facets, They are the expenses. How are you going to manage your expenses, your recurrent expenses on a normal to normal day? Secondly, there's the savings and investments. What will families do in terms of savings and investments in the face of COVID-19? Because we don't know how long this will last. We don't know how long the incomes will get affected. So there's that area that families must look at. Families must also look at those expenditures that are not everyday, periodic. A car insurance will need to be paid. How will you take care of that in the face of COVID, and especially if our incomes are affected? And even as I talk, I'm very conscious of the fact that there are people whose income probably have not been really touched. But even so, you don't know how long that will continue. So you have to make sure that you are starting to put in place measures that are going to ensure that your finances are able to be preserved, protected, and elongated to meet all your needs. But we also have the group of people whose income has already been affected. There are companies that are already paying people 25% of their monthly income. How will a family manage? And we are going to see that even as we continue. So we are having to work on that. That you can't look at just one area of your finances as a family. You must look at your finances in a whole setup. There's the expenses for every day. There's the periodic expenses that you have to look into, and you also have to be saving because you don't know how long this is going to last. So it's a discussion that people need to have, both as a mother, together with your spouse, if you have a spouse, yourself and the children, or even yourself, you just sit down and make sure that I'm having this conversation with myself because I need to look at what I have in the bank, what salary I have, and how much I've saved.
And maybe how much I don't have as well.
And how much I don't, how much I don't have.
Yes.
And I'm particularly concerned, Phyllis, about this family where the husband and the wife have no income because they were doing businesses and their businesses have closed or there is no biashara. I'm wondering that person. They have no savings to beg their life on.
It's just what you are saying. Take stock of what income you have. What is it that is coming across? First of all, you must make sure you are doing a protection of the income that you have. You are saying you don't have a savings, but probably you have money that can run you.
Maybe we keep that for some later part of this discussion of what to do. But for now, let's see what are some of those aspects of the finances that are affecting us, because it's good to know. Because sometimes, like she says, I'm stressed, but I need to pick what is stressing me. Is it that I don't have money to buy food, or what is happening? Now, Susan, you are a teacher. Thank God you are a teacher. At least maybe you are able to teach your children. But some of us are not teachers, and there's a lot of assignment being sent, and for some parents they have to send it back, they have to mark, they have to tell the children to sit. How is this happening?
Wow. Now, I'm a teacher, yes, but I can tell you that I am a mother to my children. And sometimes it is not so easy to have them get into their minds that I'm a teacher, that I'm going to teach them. So really, every other time, we still have to refer to the teacher.
Yes.
Because I am not their teacher, I'm their mother. And I understand what it means, that you have work to do, and the teacher is expecting you to have it done, and you don't even have the expertise. Leave alone the expertise. You don't have the time. You have so much to do here and there. When I look at this, I have been thinking that as a parent, you can feel anxious. You can really feel anxious. Because you can feel helpless. You do not know how to really help. Like I'm a teacher, but there's one time work was sent within a week for my son. Even before you download one, the other one has been sent. And I was looking at it, I was already getting overwhelmed. And you can imagine now surely what it can be for somebody else who is not familiar. So I look at this and I say, I think the best way is we pray we get out of this. Because it can be very anxious, you can really get helpless, you can really wonder what to do. Yes, it is not easy. It is also not easy for the children because they are not used to online work. They are not used to it. It's also something they are learning. They like computers, they want to deal with them, but when it is schoolwork, it is also not easy for the children because they are not used to online work. They are not used to it. It's also something they are learning. They like computers, they want to deal with them, but when it is schoolwork, it's not as interesting. So sometimes you find they are rejecting it. They are saying, no, this is too much. So I would say that parents are being faced with the feeling of incompetence, the feeling of helplessness, the feeling of anxiety, and wondering, what are we going to do with this? So I think these are some of the issues I think mothers are grappling with. And you also realize that mothers tend to be the people who are very close to the children, especially when it comes to some of those duties. So if you don't look after your child and what they are doing in school, you may find that their father is busy to do that. And even if he may not, if he is there. So I would say that I think mothers have quite something, they have quite some work to do, and they are able to do it. They are strong enough to do it. We give ourselves courage, we'll be able to do it, but it is a challenge.
So what I'm hearing you say, you're saying that there is the economic kind of hardship in the family. So the finances, especially for that one whose salary maybe has been cut, or someone whose job is lost completely. And on the other hand, you're saying the mother needs to look at the work of the child and follow up if they are studying. And you're saying that they can be stressed, they can be feeling of incompetence. You're saying they can be stressed, they can, there's that feeling of anxiety about tomorrow. I don't know what is going to happen. It seems like there's a lot of bombardment psychologically, Lydian. And I'm really wondering, are there women who are likely maybe to cope better than others? And if there are, what is that would maybe make one woman cope with all these challenges, which seem similar to all of us, cope better, and another one not be able to cope as well?
Well, that is a very complex question, Lydia, because we would be delving into personality types. We would be going to an individual's upbringing, background. We would be going to what kind of support this woman has from the children and from the spouse, if they have a spouse, and their own perspective or perception of what is happening. For example, a woman who has a strong faith and who believes in God will be able to pray and be able to have that confidence. I will make it because God is on my side. But for a woman who has no faith, or they have no spiritual strength, maybe feeling, I don't know what to do. So I think it depends on the kind of woman. But like Phyllis said earlier, the woman who has something they can prospect on, something they can plan on, something to peg on, whether it's an income or family support or social support, that woman may be able to cope better. But also there is that woman who is resilient. They usually are strong enough, they usually cope. Maybe they have already gone through a lot of challenges and they've been able to cope with them. So this is just another crisis and they'll be able to walk through. So the history, experiences of a person also determine. So it's hard to say one thing that would make me more able to cope than the other person.
But what you're saying is that there are different things that can make one either cope better.
Right.
And I really heard you say strongly that faith in God is really something that can make people cope better. That woman who can pray, and I'm wondering whether it's the same for finances, whether that woman who can pray is going to cope better. That woman who can pray, who they have children, they can pray. Maybe you could tell us. Faith and finances.
Yes, they work together, faith and finances, especially because we know that our source is God.
Yes.
And that I don't need a coin in my pocket for my needs to be met. God is really able to provide, and there's a scripture that says that God is able to keep us even in times of famine. So you could be going through a famine in terms of your finances, and when you look up to God and know that He will supply all your needs, then it makes it more bearable.
Yes.
But after that, he said also the aspect of planning.
Yes.
I think if I can add to what Professor has said, one of the ways that will help us cope with the stresses at home and the financial stresses is planning yourself, planning your day, and planning for your family. knowing who is doing what at what time, knowing who is responsible for what and what time, and organizing the time, even like for the children.
Yeah.
That you wake up at this time and do this at this time. If it's the house, you know, you can't just let them do
Let's keep it there.
Okay.
That faith and finances have a place where they
Yes,
need.
yes.
What you are saying is that that woman, that person who believes that God will provide is likely to cope because
better.
they are not really depending on themselves. They are not really just feeling like I don't have a coin, so I'm gone. So there's that hope, you know, and the Bible says hope does not disappoint. Susan, I don't know what you would say about parenting the children now in COVID-19 season and faith.
I would say it really plays a major role. A mother who has faith in God will encourage her children. In fact, that is very, very key. Because there are questions those children have. Like now they were sent home just like that, without notice. They are at home, they don't know up to when. So they will keep asking you, when are we likely to go? You know, as a mother, they look at you like you have all the answers. They think you know. So they'll ask you, when are we likely to go back? What is going to happen to us? And this assignment, when is it going to be marked? Will it ever be marked? Why are we even doing it? But you keep referring them to God. Let us trust in God. Let us pray that this will go. And let us believe that God is able to help us, even in this situation. Whether you go to school tomorrow, or you don't go tomorrow, whichever day you go, God is in charge. Just relax. So teaching, actually it's an opportunity for us to teach our children to have faith in God. To trust that God will take care of everything despite the darkness, despite what we can't see. He is able to take care of it. So I would say a mother who trusts in God is likely to take care of the stress that comes along with any struggle. Is it about school? Is it about food? Is it about finances? Whether they have support or they don't have support, faith plays a key role in our lives. Yes, and also in the children's lives.
Yeah, I think I hear you say that if we don't manage to teach anything else, then let's teach our children to trust in God. That we can take this opportunity, this pandemic, and teach our children to trust in God. And I believe it will be a great lesson because if they trust in God, then these are the things He will take care of them. Phyllis, how do we manage the little finances we have? How do we deal with this uncertainty? I have little money, it's not enough, and I don't even know for how long.
In terms of finances, we are talking about the fixed things that we must attend to with the little money that we have. Those are the essentials that we must attend to. So we must sit down and look at what is it that is a fixed cost for me. What is it that I must attend to? So that at least I know that this is what is required of me. And then from that fixed amount, the fixed cost that you have to attend to, where is it that I can cut on? So that it's a mandatory. If it is food, it is mandatory, but where will I be able to cut from? Then you have to look at your non-essential spending. There are things we spend on and we don't have to. Luckily, I know for now people are not buying clothes, and so sorry for the boutiques and all that, So those are areas you can't even start thinking about. They are non-essentials. Visiting restaurants to eat and all that, those are non-essentials. So we just have to do away with. And like I mentioned earlier, there are those things that we must make sure we are saving for. The non-periodic expenditures that we need to work on. You don't want the month of April to reach, the month of maybe June to reach, you have an insurance to pay for your car and you can't. So it's a matter of sitting down and taking stock of your expenses and the incomes that you're having, seeing where you can cut and where you can even increase your income. There are ways people are increasing their incomes, I saw a lady who has started crocheting and selling to people. So there are many things that we can also do just to try and increase our incomes. But mostly sit down, look at ways that you can protect your income, you can save your income and also increase your income, which I guess we'll still talk about.
Susan, she is talking about fixed, things that are fixed cost we must address, and things, ways in which we can cut costs. And I'm thinking maybe somebody is asking, tell me where. Please tell me where, how to cut costs. Would you have an example? Or even Prof?
If I would think, in the house, there are many ways you can cut costs. For example, if you are used to eating meat every day, you can decide this time round we are going to take meat maybe like twice or thrice in a week. You are cutting costs.
Yes.
There are things, for example, if you take breakfast with 2 types of protein, you can say this time round we are going to just have one. Probably you take an egg and something else. So you cut on the other so that you just have one. And if the worst comes to the worst, because there are families that are hard hit, you don't have to take it every day. You can say that protein we are going to miss. We are not going to take an egg every day. We are going to take it like twice or thrice in a week. So there are ways we can still cut on costs and still be able to move on. And we will not have compromised our health, because we must also balance and see how are we going to be still healthy as families. And again, you don't go for what you are not used to. Yes, just because it is available. Especially now, you may find that many people are selling food in the estate. They are going around selling. And because it has come, you may find yourself saying, let me buy. If you don't need it for that week, don't buy. Next week will come and you budget for next week. And I think that the issue of budgeting is a crucial issue now. And also teaching our children to budget. You sit with them and tell them, yes, we don't eat. We will eat this way, but this time we will not eat this way because there's pandemic. 1, 2, 3 is supposed to be taken care of. Therefore, let us try to cope with this as it is. So you involve them, and I think that way becomes easier for us. That's what I would say.
And what I'm picking from you is you say that is communication. Because then, if we have to budget, people need to know why we are not eating 2 proteins. Then there is a lot of communication that needs to be happening in the family. Yeah, Prof.
The only thing I want to add to what I've said is the fact that even as families and as we look at this crisis, we need to help our families know that we are coping today, but we don't know. Even as families and as we look at this crisis, we need to help our families know that we are coping today, but we don't know for how long.
Yes.
And it could get worse. It could get worse. So we begin to prepare our families for worse times, both economic and otherwise, so that they can begin to appreciate. I remember I was talking to my grandchildren the other day and telling them to have appreciative hearts, because there are many other families that are not affording what they are affording, and yet things may get worse, and we may have to keep cutting on the things that we are, for example, even that egg, even once a week it can't. So we may need to prepare our families for possible worse times. Because if you read in history and the global pandemics, you have heard that many nations go into a major depression, economic depression, and it can take a year, 2 years, even 20 years to peak again. So I think even as we say we cut the costs, let's also communicate to our families that we are okay today, but we don't know about, because we don't know how long.
And I also really like what Phil is saying. We have time now.
Yes.
Some of us maybe have some extra time on our hands because of this pandemic. Are there things I can do that maybe they may not be of economic value right
Today.
now, but once things are back to normal, maybe I'm able to sell them out, and they are going to be of some economic benefit. So I think we need also to think about this extra time we have as a resource that I could use for the benefit of that. Professor Lillian, how do we manage the stress? And we have seen there are so many factors that are bringing up that stress and other psychological problems, as you mentioned them. How should the woman and the other family members cope?
Yeah, there are many things that a woman and even other members of the family could do to be able to cope. And I think one of the things we need to do is to accept the situation. We need to reach a point where we come to terms with what we are going through. And that acceptance psychologically helps you to have peace and to be at peace with the circumstances you find yourself in. So accepting the situation, and especially knowing that it is not that you made a mistake. It is not your fault. It's not your father's fault for children. It is a global thing, and it is none of our fault. So accept it. Secondly, the need, like she said before, to plan. And creatively, I have said creatively plan. And actually be proactive in that planning, so that there is always something to look forward to. There is something I can say tomorrow I'll do, or when there is time. The other thing I would say is, knowledge is important. Don't stay ignorant. Stay at par with the knowledge that is there. For example, make sure you are updated in terms of what's happening. Be real, but also avoid those messages that are stressful. Because if you get too many negative messages, they will put you down. But try to know what is. For example, the briefings we get from government, the directives we get. Be at par with them and be updated. Another thing is you need to stay sober and calm. Be real. Because it is very easy during this time to panic. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, a very well-to-do person, somebody who I would say has income, but she said she read one message and she panicked, and she was worried. She has adult children, and she was asking them in their professions, what should we do? We must, or we need to avoid a state of panic. Because if as a lady, I panic, if as a mother, I panic, what will happen to my children? We need to maintain a calmness, a sobriety, a confidence, a strength of person that will give other members of the family hope. Because when they see mom is not giving up, mom says it will be okay, then they'll be able to also be calm and have hope. We also need to be very wise in the way we handle relationships, the things we are dealing with, the money and all that. We need to have a lot of wisdom. And I've been reading some portions in the Old Testament, and I've picked a lot of women who are very wise. And if you look at Abigail, if you look at Jael, if you look at even Sarah, women who used their domestic position to help the family move on. So wisdom is so important. And there are many others I could say, maybe others would add up. We need to have a balance. As we take care of this family, please don't ignore yourself, lady. Please, you also are going through it. So take care of yourself as an individual. Stay connected to your family, to your friends. And also, I need to say, get involved in the social welfare. We don't have to say we need to go. These days, you can do it online and reach out to somebody in need. Those things, they give a woman and anybody else that feeling of I am useful, I am okay, and I can go on. So we don't need to be isolated and feel. You can be isolated physically, but not mentally. Don't allow yourself to get into the feeling of isolation.
This is something you've really said I think that's very important. Self-care. Because
Yeah.
like we said, the woman might be having quite a lot on their hands. But then it's very easy to forget yourself.
Right.
Take care of everyone, make sure everyone has eaten, make sure everyone has silence when they are reading and having their meetings, but forget yourself. And I think it's very, very critical
It is.
that one takes care of themselves. But I'm wondering how, how do I take care of myself, Susan? With all these children who are making noise around me, they are there, or maybe they are not there, they are in their own families.
With many responsibilities, like this, I will speak to maybe the younger mothers. The children can get you going around the house until the afternoon, and you are still not woken up. You are not ready for the day. I think this starts by having a plan for your day. I think it's wise for any lady to have a plan for the day. You say, when I wake up, I'm going to do this. Maybe I start by prayer. I prepare the breakfast. I take a shower. I do this and this. You have a plan for the things that you want to do for yourself during the day. And if you do that, you're able to bring everybody else on board. So you're able to tell them, we need to plan ourselves. This is what we need to do. You negotiate with them. Then you are able to make sure that things flow for yourself. You're able to know, this is what I'm going to do for myself, this is what I'm going. If you need to do something on your hair, if you need to do something for your spiritual well-being, if you need to call somebody, because sometimes you can be so busy, you can't even call a friend. And you find yourself locked up in your own personal world, and that can be very depressing. So I think we really need to be good time managers. Look at the day in the morning, plan it. Even if it is tomorrow, you plan in the evening. Tomorrow I'll do this, I'll do this, and I'll do this. And I think that is very helpful. So really, as ladies, I think that is one thing that can help us take care of ourselves without getting overwhelmed.
And I think in so doing, let us request our families to give us those moments. I'm sure they will understand. So that we don't sneak out, but that we can tell them, I need a moment with myself. Can I please go to my bedroom? Don't knock. Don't try to ask me what we are cooking. And of course, if you have planned, you'll be able to release the others to do it, and you take your moment.
And I remember Phyllis was talking about it at some point when I cut her off. You were talking about requesting family members. Would you say a little more on that?
Yeah, that will come from the plans that you have made, where you know that at this particular time, this is what everybody is doing. So even you, they know at this particular time, mom does this. So we are not going to follow up on her. When we started, I was very strict on myself when this lockdown began because I'm still working. So I decided I'll never take a nap in the day. Because when I'm working, I don't take a nap. I don't take a nap in the day. And actually, up to last week, I never took a nap in the day. And then I thought, I'm getting tired. I'm feeling like all this is becoming too much on me. And I told them, now I'm scheduling an hour or so of a nap at one time or another. And like she was saying, let's not forget ourselves. Let's not forget our physical selves. Exercise, schedule it, and do it. Yes.
And one of the things I'm picking from what you have just said is that we need to remember this is not the normal time.
Yes.
So that we don't treat it like the normal time and say, I don't sleep during the day so I won't. It is a different time. We accept it as it is and kind of plan within it. Plan that people are at home, so I don't have to do all the cooking, they can also help, so we plan within it. And Susan, tell us, how will this lady manage dealing with the children and all these responsibilities, and at the same time, though we are not teachers, we also don't want our children to really be left so much behind where others maybe are learning.
I think I would say, like now when we talk about the children and the schoolwork, we have two categories of mothers. We have those mothers who can access the online assignments. They probably can even afford to download the work for the children to do. Others can afford to even have it being done online and sent back to the teacher. But we have a mother who is not able to afford even the bundles, the internet bundles to do that. And they are even totally locked out. Then have it being done online and sent back to the teacher. But we have a mother who is not able to afford even the bundles, the internet bundles to do that. And they are even totally locked out. They don't know how to communicate with their teacher. It can be very, very difficult. But as we were talking with somebody else recently, we were saying that we work with what we have. If your child has any assignment, help them do it. And let them know this is not the end of the world. It should not be like it's now or never. Just work with what you have. If you don't have bundles, don't insist. Relax. You know, education is basic, but for now, food is more basic. There are other needs that are more basic. So work with what you have and let your child know that. I think here, talking to your child and explaining and letting them look at the situation as it is very important. And like you say, we need to communicate and communicate clearly. This is what we are able to do as a family, and this is why we cannot do like our neighbors are doing, because this is what is happening to us. And give them hope. Tell them in the future when things get better, because it will get better, definitely things will change. When things change, this is how we are going to overcome this. Now, those who have the assignment and they are set, encourage your child to do the assignment. Set out a time for the assignment. Like you have said, this is not normal, it's not school. Definitely home is not school. You cannot make it school. So what you do, set time for assignments, agree with them. Let them agree, let them tell you their comfortable time. I'll be doing my assignment at this time, I'll be doing my revision at this time, and stick to that. And just follow up and see they do it, especially if they are bigger. If they are small, you need to follow up very, very closely. Like a friend of mine was telling me how their class 1 boy, they are doing online work. And so it came a day when he was supposed to be the one leading the class in prayers, and they are doing it online. So they were supposed to record it and send it that particular day, particular hour. So she was telling me how hard it was to record that. It really was not easy. They had to really soothe the baby, tell them where they have to look at the camera, why they are recording, and he can't understand. They only pray in school, and he can do that in school very, very, very comfortably. But at home, why am I doing this? So really, you are involved. As a mother, as a parent, you are involved. You must get there, plan with your child, agree on what they can be able to do. Don't push them too hard. They are at home also. They are having their own challenges. Let them be, but make sure the work is being done. And that can be very, very effective if you also show them love. You really need to show them we are together, we are working together, no matter what happens, we are going to overcome. That hope is very, very important. So set your time very well, let them have a timetable, let them know this is when we watch the TV, this is when we do the assignment, this is when we wash the dishes, this is when you are supposed to be cooking for the bigger ones, so that everybody is clear on what they are doing and everybody will do their work. So I think the issue of planning, negotiating, agreeing with the children can be very helpful to a mother. Otherwise, if you are not able to do that, you find yourself getting worked up. And most of the time you'll be irritable because so and so did not do this, so and so did not do this, and then there is disorder in the family, things are not done right. So I would say it is possible. With all the challenges, you will make it. If you can't do the online stuff, leave it. Let it not bother you. Encourage your child. They can do without it for now.
Yes. And just a comment on what Susan is saying. I want to tell our ladies in this church, most of us can deal with that technology. the online, the e-learning. But for our relatives who are in the rural, who are not able, who are in Mathare, and they are not able even to afford a smartphone, therefore they cannot join this train of online learning. I would say psychology of learning tells us that there are many ways of learning, and the textbook and the notes and knowing where the syllabus is what you need. What we need is to help our children to know that they need to cover the syllabus.
Yeah.
Because the exam will not come from a smartphone. It will not come from the online thing. It will come from the syllabus. So let's encourage even those of our relatives who are out there and saying, you people of Nairobi, you know how to do it. Let them know, help your child cover the syllabus. Work with them to cover the syllabus. Whether they use textbooks, revision papers, or whatever you have and they have, work with them.
I hear you say, let's work with what we have.
Right.
Let's not stress ourselves about what we don't have and what we cannot manage at this point.
Right.
Now, as we
Lydia,
yeah.
just one more thing. I was talking to a relative who is a Form 4 candidate, and I was telling them, take advantage of this time and revise your Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3 work.
Yes.
I told them, God has given you time to revise what you had not done before.
Yes.
So you take advantage of this. By the time you're going to school, you've done your short notes for Form 1, for Form 2, for Form 3, just to try and make copying better. Because they can't do the online, but at least they are able to go back to their notes and still.
And they will be better somewhere.
Yes,
While maybe the one who is able to do online has gone ahead, they will have mastered the work they have already done. Now, as we think about terminating, I don't know whether there's something you want to add on the areas you are covering, but let's talk about this as we also think about the fact that we are not able to come to church. We are staying at home, and one of the things that is very called is to a human being is their spirituality. How do we also manage that as we manage finances, our psychological well-being, and even the children at home? Yeah, Phyllis.
Okay, when we got into this situation, I just thought to myself, and we discussed at home, and thought that we can start feeding ourselves as a family together using some plans. So when we began, it was almost Easter, so we decided to do an Easter plan. So every evening we'd sit and do an Easter plan. When it got finished, I looked at my children and the stages they are in their spiritual life, and we decided to do spiritual, the armor of God. So every day we were doing an armor of God with a plan, reading and discussing, and it's so amazing what we learned. Even me, after so many years in the faith, and I could see the impact it was having on our children. Currently, we are doing the parables of Christ. So every evening we are doing a parable together and asking, how will it affect us? How is it that we are going to apply it? And we give ourselves targets. What will we do about this? So it's giving an opportunity for the home church. Now, something that we had we were doing it, but it wasn't as effective. And even the other day when we had Holy Communion at home, and I thought this is the way probably it was before. Yes, and it was so amazing to just sit there and have Holy Communion together. So in terms of that, and even the support the church is giving us through the Tuesday prayer meetings, through the services and the Sunday school, we are feeling like all is not lost. And I saw a quotation, I think most of us saw it, that it's not that church has been closed, because church is within us. So it's giving as an opportunity to grow internally and grow with people who are around us in terms of spirituality.
I think what I would like to emphasize and thank you so much, Phyllis. You are also teaching us what to do with the time. It's very helpful. But what I would want to add here is that let's remember that life is not static. Life is going on. The clock is ticking and things are happening. And that COVID is not the only life we have. We have so many other things. There is some businesses going on. There are people who are farming farmers are continuing. So let's not feel locked in COVID, but think about life.
Think about life.
I would say this is one of the it's an opportunity for us as families to really get to understand where we are spiritually.
Yeah.
This is a time I would say, we have been able to now sit nicely and talk to ourselves as family and be able to know what is your perspective about this, what is your perspective about this, and be able to hear your children air their views, because you are not in a hurry. You have all the time, like it is Sunday. If you say it is in the evening and you are just there, and I am so glad that there are times we are told we have left our children to be taught in school and we don't pass some of these very important things. And I think the Christian values now have a place and they have an opportunity to be passed to our children because we are able to sit with them. Like what the Israelites were told. Moses told them that teach these children the commandments of God. When you sleep, when you wake up, when you walk on the way, when you sit with them, I think now we have an opportunity. And as mothers, we support. Even if you have your husband there and he's leading, you are the pillar, you are supporting. So we really need to continue helping and letting the children learn. Let the children learn how to pray. Let them learn how to pray on their own. Let them learn how to read the word. And this way God will help us. We keep praying that by the grace of God we shall be able to get where God wants us to be. And when we come back, whatever time it will be, and we are together in church, we'll be stronger than we have ever been.
Thank you very much. I think those are very, very important discussions you brought up. And I think as we conclude, some of the things I really heard us say is that first of all, faith in God really will help us go through this situation that we are going through, and that we can trust in God. And the other thing I'm hearing us saying is that let's plan, let's budget. Budget is planning. Let's accept that the situation is here and it is temporary, it is not there forever. And what we are also saying is that let's use this family time to teach Christian values, to worship together with our children. And as we are coming to a close, I'm wondering maybe in our viewers, maybe you are feeling like there are all these concerns and there are all these issues, and maybe you don't have money, you don't know even how to plan, your children want these online classes and you're not able to manage them. I want to read a scripture in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 to 7 that says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That we can cast all our anxieties to God, we can take our concerns to Him, we can pray, and He will give us the peace that we need so much at this time. So there is hope in God, and in case you do not know this God, you have an opportunity to accept Him and allow Him in your life, so that when we are talking about faith in God, you can practice this faith. So I want us to close there, and we are going to close with a word of prayer, and I'll ask Professor Lillian to pray, please.
Let us pray. Our Father, we want to just bless you and honor you this afternoon. We want to give you praise, we want to give you honor. Thank you, Jehovah God, for the seasons and the times are yours. You command every season. You command every time, the years, the months, and the days. And Jehovah God, you are Jehovah of the beginning and the end. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so we thank you because of this opportunity you've given us as human beings, as a global humanity, to go through a time to sit back, reflect, pause, and see you, because even those people who never thought about you, they are thinking about you. So thank you. We thank you for the ladies. We thank you, Jehovah God, for women. We thank you for the role they play in the homes and even in the community. And we pray that you bless ladies. You bless women and help us, oh God, to be sober, to be wise, to allow you, oh God, to work through us, to reach so many people. We know that women reach not just their families, but their communities. So give us the grace, give us the enabling. Thank you for this moment we have shared together. We pray that you bless the points we have shared, and that, Lord, they will reach out to many to encourage, to give hope, and to comfort. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen.